film, perspective is everything. How an event is interpreted can change depending on the point of view in which you experienced it. Few understand this concept better than legendary filmmaker Akira Kurosawa. Rashomon is a film where perspective and its elasticity is put on full display. As an audience, you get to experience the same story from 4 different perspectives. The similarities and differences permanently obscuring the facts behind personal bias. The core of a film is about the journey a particular character goes on. This is where the concept of a protagonist emerges.
Houston, I've lost visual of Dr. Stone. Houston, I've lost visual of Dr. Stone.
A protagonist is a primary point of view character that serves as the audience's window into the world of the story. This is what gives a character like the protagonist such weight in the narrative. What we see, hear, and experience is often limited to what a point of view character sees, hears, and experiences. So the next time you're sitting in a movie theater watching a film and just couldn't care less what is happening and why, understand that this points to a failure in the construction of the protagonist. If you're struggling to connect with the main character, then why would you laugh if they told a joke?
I'll blow this whole place up!
Go ahead. I don't shot her.
Why would you care if they lost a loved one? Why would you be scared if a gangster held a gun to their head?
Not so fast.
Basically, it doesn't matter how great the shots are or how cool the stunts look. If you don't care about a protagonist, then why bother to share in their successes and failures?
You have one way out of this.
So it should come as no surprise that a word like likability gets thrown around while talking about a protagonist.
Come on, slip in, slip out, just like we always do.
This word can cause a knee-jerk reaction in many, but its meaning and use in everyday life is not reflective of its meaning in terms of storytelling. In the real world, the term likability is usually prescribed to that certain kind of someone with disarming good looks and witty repartee.
Bond. James Bond.
However, films have always been about offering people an escape from reality. We go to films to have new and unique experiences. Thus, as an audience, we don't go to films to hold characters to the same standards we hold people in our real lives. It's this lack of judgment from the audience that frees up a filmmaker to create a protagonist to fit any mold they deem interesting.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Age doesn't matter.
If you must blink, do it now.
Race doesn't matter. Gender doesn't matter.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Hell, the protagonist doesn't even need to be alive.
You are a toy!
But liking a character isn't limited to the qualities that make them personable. A character can be a complete cuss of a human being and still endear themselves to an audience. The ability of the audience to see aspects of themselves reflected within the hero of the story is what erodes the barrier between the real world and the world of the film.
That's enough now. That's enough, H.
This is where connections are built and experiences are shared rather than just observed.
Do you hear me? Can you hear me in there?
How do you achieve this seemingly magic connection between the audience and the protagonist?
You met me at a very strange time in my life.
A great place to start fleshing out a character is to develop their want, need, fear, and flaw. The interplay and often conflict between these 4 personality traits can go a long way in growing a vague impression of a character into something a bit more grounded and compelling.
Life, do you hear me? Give my creation life!
The want is what the character sees as their personal overarching goal. Whether they get that goal or not is optional. In Gladiator, Maximus wants to get back to his son and wife.
How can I reward Rome's greatest general?
Let me go home.
However, his friend, the Emperor Marcus Aurelius, has other plans for him.
I will empower you to one end alone. To give power back to the people of Rome and end the corruption.
With all my heart, no.
The Emperor establishes Maximus's need as the restoration of Rome as a republic.
That is why it must be you.
The need is the one thing a character is unaware they require in order to evolve and grow. It's usually in direct conflict with their expressed want. When Maximus's want of family is taken away from him by the Emperor's son, Commodus, Maximus is sent down a dark path toward the very need he tried to run from.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North.
General of the Felix Legions. Loyal servant to the true Emperor, Marcus Aurelius. Father to a murdered son. Husband to a murdered wife. And I will have my vengeance. In this life or the next.
Resolving the conflict between want and need for Maximus means exacting his revenge on Commodus. This frees Rome from his cruel tyranny, which in part satisfies the needs set out to him by Marcus Aurelius. This unlocks for him his core want, by reuniting him with his family in the afterlife. There are no rules about what can constitute these traits, only that they generate friction between themselves. For a character, fear can manifest in a lot of ways, but the most effective narrative fears are usually the ones driven by the character's insecurities. Insecurities grown out of their flaw.
I have every intention of paying you back. I'm broke right now.
You broke? What's that?
Look at that.
Do you remember that?
Look at it. That is money. That's not mine that I sent to you because I wanted to calm you down.
We know for a fact that you placed a bet with that money.
Never placed a bet with that money.
The flaw is a weakness a character possesses that threatens their want and blinds them to their actual need. For Howard in Uncut Gems, gambling is his crippling flaw.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
While he needs to be a better husband,
Sorry.
a better father,
Jason's about to pay me $25 for the first half. Double that up. Last half, I might get $50.
I bet a lot of money on this one.
Really? How much? How much?
You don't want to know.
and a better businessman.
And why the fuck am I hearing about it now?
I need to remind you that you brought the Opal to us on a Friday night for an auction set on a Monday morning. We were lucky to be able
I
to
don't
get
give
it
a
appraised
fuck.
at all.
I don't care.
Howard's flaw runs so deep he is willing to sacrifice his need at the altar of his want, all in the face of a very real fear.
Did we just win?
His inability to control his flaw time and time again slowly manifests his fear of death into reality.
Alright, I'll call you back. Son of a bitch. Honor! I'm doing honor! What the fuck did you just do?
Howard's death was always avoidable, but in the end he lost the war for his own heart. As the great George R.R. Martin has been quoted as saying,
"To my mind, a war between good and evil is not fought between armies of heroes in white cloaks and armies of really ugly guys in black cloaks, but rather is fought within the individual human heart in the choices that we make in times of crisis."
While developing a character, any source of storytelling friction is worth its weight in gold. An individual's desires rarely align with one another, which is why conflict is the engine at the heart of any film, all of it driving tone and tempo towards conclusion for the main character. Conflict is how the filmmaker bridges the gap between protagonist and audience, which is the only thing the audience is actually expecting from the movies that they watch. A justification to care what happens to the protagonist. An audience that cares about the hero is an audience that is capable of being transported to another world.